The following presentation of Anyone for Tennyson was produced through the remote facilities of Connecticut Public Television. From Mystic Seaport, the outdoor maritime museum at Mystic, Connecticut, the First Poetry Quartet, joined by chanty singer Stuart Gillespie, present Poems of the Sea. Here are George Bachman, Jill Tanner, Cynthia Herman, and Paul Hecht, the First Poetry Quartet.
I must go down to the seas again, to the lonely sea in the sky, and all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by, and the wheels kick and the wind's song and the white sails shaking, and a gray mist on the sea's face and a gray dawn breaking.
I must go down to the seas again, for the call of the running tide is a wild call and a clear call that may not be denied.
And all I ask is a windy day with the white clouds flying, and the flung spray and the blown spume, and the seagulls crying.
I must go down to the seas again, to the vagrant gypsy life, to the gull's way and the whale's way, where the wind's like a whetted knife. And all I ask is a merry yarn from a laughing fellow rover, and a quiet sleep and a sweet dream when the long trick's over.
Come on, ye-boat sailors, come listen to me. I'll tell you a story of the ships in the sea. So blow your winds westerly, westerly roll, and steer your ship southerly, steady she goes.
Down along the wharves, that's the place I like to wander. Smell of tar and salted fish and barrels soaked in brine. Here and there a lobster crate and brown seines over yonder. And in among them, mending nets, an old salt friend of mine. That old salt friend of mine, how we love to talk together. Breathless is the wonder of his tales about the sea. His face is tanned and wrinkled by the roughest kind of weather. And he is like a hero in a storybook to me.
The sun now rose upon the right. Out of the sea came he, still hid in mist, and on the left went down into the sea. And the good south wind still blew behind, but no sweet bird did follow, nor any day for food or play came to the mariner's hollow. And I had done a hellish thing, and it would work 'em woe. For all averred, I had killed the bird that made the breeze to blow. Ah, wretch, said they, that bird to slay that made the breeze to blow. Nor dim, nor red, like God's own head, the glorious sun uprist. And all averred, I had killed the bird that brought the fog and mist. 'Twas right, said they, such birds to slay that bring the fog and mist. The fair breeze blew, the white foam flew, the furrow followed free. We were the first that ever burst into that silent sea. Down dropped the breeze, the sails dropped down. 'Twas sad as sad could be, and we did speak only to break the silence of the sea. All in a hot and copper sky, the bloody sun at noon, right up above the mast it stand, no bigger than the moon. Day after day, day after day, we stuck. No breath, no motion, as idle as a painted ship upon a painted ocean. Water, water, everywhere, and all the boards did shrink. Water, water, everywhere, nor any drop to drink. The very deep did rot. Oh, Christ, that ever this should be. Yea, slimy things did crawl with legs upon the slimy sea. About, about in reel and rout, the death fires danced at night. The water, like a witch's oils, burnt green and blue and white. And some in dreams assured were of the spirit that plagued us so. 9 fathom deep he had followed us, from the lands of mist and snow. And every tongue through utter drought was withered at the root. We could not speak no more than if we had been choked with soot. Ah, well a day, what evil looks I had from old and young. Instead of the cross, the albatross about my neck was hung.
Down along the wharves among a wonderland of shipping, rows of shining, slender masts that sway against the sky. Every day at flood of tide, we watch some schooner slipping out among the circling gulls, my old salt friend and I.
On a bright and cloudless morn, and the gulls were circling round, a sailor boy stood on the deck, and his ship was outward bound.
He rose at dawn and fired with hope, shot o'er the seething harbour bar, and reached the ship and caught the rope, and whistled to the morning star. And while he whistled long and loud, he heard a fierce mermaiden cry,
"O boy, though thou art young and proud, I see the place where thou wilt lie."
"Fool," he answered, "death is sure to those that stay and those that roam. But I will never more endure to sit with empty hands at home. My mother clings about my neck, my sister's crying, 'Stay for shame!' My father raves of death and wreck. They are all to blame, they're all to blame. God help me, save I take my part of danger on the roaring sea. A devil rises in my heart, far worse than any death to me."
Oh, fare ye well, we're outward bound. Goodbye, fare ye well, goodbye, fare ye well. We're outward bound for New York town. Hurrah, my boys, we're outward bound. Why, our anchors we away and our sails we will set. Goodbye, fare ye well, goodbye, fare ye well. The friends we are leaving, we leave.
My window opens upon the sea, and the smell of the sea comes into me, and the voice of the sea that calls and calls, and the sea's hands beating upon my walls. Sometimes I wake in the night and hear the sound of the sea, and it seems so near. I wonder how I have strength of will to listen and lie so still. I wonder how I can stay in bed with the smothering ceiling over my head. I envy the men who can dip and ride and drown if they will in the brown salt tide. Oh, why is a half-grown lad so free to pack up his clothes and put out to sea, while a maid must live out her life on shore, mending and washing and sweeping the floor? Some moonless night when the sky is black, I'll run away and I'll never come back. And maybe the girl who used to be me will be far away, like a lad at sea.
"'Tis 100 years," said the boatswain bold, "since I was a boy at sea. 'Tis 100 years, so I've been told, and that's the truth," said he. "We sailed one day from Milford Bay, the North Pole for to see, and we found it too, without much ado, and that's the truth," said he. "We sailed, and one fair noon a great whale we espied. So we took a rope and a long harpoon and stuck him in the starboard side. Then away and away went the great big whale, and away went we, tied fast to his tail. To the north we did sail, and that's the truth," said he. "And when we came to the great North Star, an iceberg we did see. Said the captain, 'Now we've come this far, I'm not going back,' said he. So we tickled the tail of that great big whale with a 10-penny nail, did we, and we sailed right through that iceberg blue, and that's the truth," said he. And then the North Pole we did see, and we anchored the whale astern, but he gave us a whack that sent us back, or I shouldn't be spinning this yarn. So messmates all, said the boatswain bold, if the North Pole you would see, you've only got to sail at the tail of a whale. And that's the truth, said he.
I have done my bit of carving, figureheads of quaint design, for the olives and the ruddocks and the famous Black Ball Line. Brigantine and barks and clippers, brigs and schooners lithe and tall. But the bounding Marco Polo was the proudest of them all. I can see that white-winged clipper reeling under scudding clouds, tramping down a hazy skyline with a norther in her shrouds. I can feel her lines of beauty, see her flecked with spume and brine, as she drives her scuppers under, and that figurehead of mine. 'Twas of seasoned pine I made it, clear from outer bark to core, and the finest piece of timber from the mast pond on straight shore. Every bite of axe or chisel, every ringing mallet welt, brought from out that block of timber all the spirit that I felt. That was how I did my carving, beat of heart and stroke of hand, blended into life and action all the purpose that I planned. Flowing robes and wind-tossed tresses, forms of beauty, strength, design, saw them all and strove to carve 'em in those figureheads of mine. I am old, my hands are feeble, and my outward eyes are dim, but I see again those clippers lifting o'er the ocean's rim, great white fleet of reeling rovers, wind above, the surf beneath, and the Marco Polo leading with my carving in her teeth.
As I sailed down the Zuyder Zee, oh, my lads, just pipe your eye. The waves were high, the sails were free, the wind was shrill and roared with glee, and an adventure came to me. Now take my word or leave it, our figurehead to life awoke. Oh, my lads, look sharp ahead. Now she was made of quartered oak, and you may think it all a joke, but mercy me, she up and spoke. Now take my word or leave it, said she.
Look here, my worthy mate.
Oh, my lads, just pass the grog.
My makeup is way out of date. I want silk hose, my size is 8, and 3-strap sandals, black and slate.
Now take my word or leave it.
Remove from me this lengthy gown.
Oh, my lads, now port your helm.
It makes me look like a circus clown. I wish the shortest skirt in town, so look alive, don't make it brown.
Now take my word or leave it.
I want a wristwatch too,
she said. Oh, my lads, now starboard there.
Tuxedo sweater, good and red. And listen here, don't be misled, the Shetland kind with wide mesh spread.
Now take my word or leave it.
I wish ear pendants, get a pair.
Oh, my lads, now take a reef.
And don't you ever, ever dare to gild again this waist-length hair. I want it bobbed at once, so there.
Now take my word or leave it.
A lipstick, too, I wish you'd get.
Oh, my lads, just heave the lead.
I want some rouge that stands the wet. And powder, lots of it, you bet. And one thing more, a cigarette.
Now take my word or leave it. I sailed back up the Zuyder Zee. Oh, my lads, the anchor way. I hardly knew that I was me, so sort of seashell shocked, you see. The figurehead, she winked at me. Now take my word or leave it.
Oh, the bully boats are coming, don't you hear the paddles rolling? Rondo, rondo, hooray, hooray. Oh, the bully boats are coming, don't you hear the paddles rolling? Rondo, rondo, ray.
I've never sailed the Amazon. I've never reached Brazil. But the Don and Magdalena, they can go there when they will. Yes, weekly from Southampton, great steamers, white and gold, go rolling down to Rio. Roll down to Rio. And I'd like to roll to Rio someday before I'm old. I've never seen a jaguar, nor yet an armadillo, dillowing in his armor. And I suppose I never will, unless I go to Rio, these wonders to behold. Roll down to Rio. Roll really down to Rio. Oh, I'd love to roll to Rio someday before I'm old.
Now I ask you this, so mark me well. John Kanaka-Naka-Turai. Have you ever heard the story of the Inchcape Bell? John Kanaka-Naka-Turai. Oh, Turai, oh, Turai. John Kanaka-Naka-Turai.
No stir in the air, no stir in the sea. The ship was still as she could be. Her sails from heaven received no motion. Her keel was steady in the ocean. Without either sign or sound of their shock, the waves flowed over the Inchcape rock. So little they rose, so little they fell. They did not move the Inchcape Bell.
The holy abbot of Aberbrothock had placed that bell on the Inchcape rock. On a buoy in the storm it floated and swung, and over the waves its warning rung. When the rock was hid by the surge's swell, the mariners heard the warning bell, and then they knew the perilous rock, and blessed the abbot of Aberbrothock.
The sun in heaven was shining gay. All things were joyful on that day. The seabirds screamed as they wheeled around, and there was joyance in their sound. The buoy of the Inchcape Bell was seen, a darker speck on the ocean green. Sir Rafe, the rover, walked his deck, and he fixed his eye on the darker speck.
He felt the cheering power of spring. It made him whistle, it made him sing. His heart was mirthful to excess, but the rover's mirth was wickedness.
His eye was on the Inchcape float. Quoth he,
My men, put out the boat and row me to the Inchcape rock, and I'll plague the abbot of Aberbrothock.
The boat is lowered, the boatmen row, and to the Inchcape rock they go. Sir Rafe bent over from the boat and cut the bell from the Inchcape float.
down sank the bell with a gurgling sound. The bubbles rose and burst around. Quoth Sir Rafe,
The next who comes to the rock will not bless the abbot of Aberbrothock.
Sir Rafe the rover sailed away. He scoured the seas for many a day. And now, grown rich with plundered store, he steers his course for Scotland's shore.
so thick a haze o'erspreads the sky, they cannot see the sun on high. The wind hath blown a gale all day. At evening it hath died away.
On the deck the rover takes his stand. So dark it is they see no land. Quoth Sir Rafe,
It will be lighter soon, for there is the dawn of the rising moon.
Canst hear, said one, the breakers roar? For yonder, methinks, should be the shore.
now where we are I cannot tell, but I wish we could hear the Inchcape Bell.
They hear no sound, the swell is strong.
Though the wind hath fallen, they drift along, till the vessel strikes with a shivering shock.
Oh, Christ, it is the Inchcape rock!
Sir Rafe the rover tore his hair. He cursed himself in his despair.
The waves rush in on every side. The ship is sinking beneath the tide.
But even in his dying fear, one dreadful sound he seemed to hear. A sound as if with the Inchcape Bell, the devil below was ringing his knell.
There is a pleasure in the pathless woods. There is a rapture on the lonely shore. There is society where none intrudes by the deep sea and music in its roar. I love not man the less, but nature more. From these our interviews in which I steal from all I may be or have been before, to mingle with the universe and feel what I can ne'er express, yet cannot all conceal. Roll on, thou deep and dark blue ocean, roll. 10,000 fleets sweep over thee in vain. Man marks the earth with ruin. His control stops with a shore. Upon the watery plain the wrecks are all thy deed, nor doth remain a shadow of man's ravage save his own. When, for a moment, Like a drop of rain, he sinks into thy depths with bubbling groan, without a grave, unknelled, uncoffined, and unknown.
We're homeward bound today, but where is Johnny? My own dear Johnny, my own dear Johnny. In the middle of the sea, my boy is floating free. My lively Johnny, goodbye.
Oh, sailor of the sea! How's my boy? My boy?
What's your boy's name, good wife? And in what good ship sailed he?
My boy John either went to sea. You come back from sea and not know my John? I might as well have asked some landsman yonder down in the town. There's not an ass in all the parish but he knows my John. How's my boy? My boy? And unless you let me know, I'll swear you are no sailor, blue jacket or no. Sure, his ship was the Jolly Briton.
Speak low, woman, speak low.
Why should I speak low, sailor, about my own boy, John? If I was loud as I am proud, I'd sing him o'er the town. Why should I speak low, sailor?
That good ship went down.
What care I for the ship, sailor? I never was aboard her. Be she afloat or be she aground, sinking or swimming, I'll be bound her owners can afford her. I say, how's my John?
Every man on board went down. Every man aboard her.
What care I for the men, sailor? I'm not their mother. How's my boy? My boy? Tell me of him and no other. How's my boy? My boy?
Three fishers went sailing away to the west as the sun went down. Each thought on the woman who loved him the best, and the children stood watching them out of the town. For men must work, and women must weep, and there's little to earn and many to keep, though the harbor bar be moaning. Three wives sat up in the lighthouse tower, and they trimmed the lamps as the sun went down. And they looked at the squall, and they looked at the shower, and the night rack came rolling up ragged and brown. But men must work, and women must weep, though storms be sudden and waters deep, and the harbor bar be moaning. Three corpses lay out in the shining sands in the morning gleam as the tide went down. And the women are weeping and wringing their hands for those who will never come home to the town. But men must work, and women must weep, and the sooner it's over, the sooner to sleep. And goodbye to the bar and its moaning.
Now finale to the shore. Now land and life, finale and farewell. Now, voyager, depart. Much, much for thee is yet in store. Often enough hast thou adventured o'er the seas, cautiously cruising, studying the charts, duly again to port and hawser's tie returning. But now obey thy cherished secret wish. Embrace thy friends, leave all in order. To port and hawser's tie no more returning. Depart upon thy endless cruise, old sailor.
15 men on the dead man's chest. Yo-ho-ho, and a bottle of rum. Drink and the devil had done for the rest. Yo-ho-ho, and a bottle of rum.
This person in the gaudy clothes is worthy Captain Kidd. They say he never buried gold. I think perhaps he did. They say it's all a story, that his favorite little song was, "Make these lubbers walk the plank." I think perhaps they're wrong. They say he never pirated beneath the skull and bones. He merely traveled for his health and spoke in soothing tones. In fact, you'll read in nearly all the newer history books that he was mild as cottage cheese I don't like his looks.
In London town there lived a maid, mark well what I do say. In London town there lived a maid, and she was mistress of her trade. I'll go never roving with you, fair maid. A roving, since roving's been my ruin. I'll go never roving with you, fair maid.
Head the ship for England, shake out every sail. Blithe leap the billows, merry sings the gale. Captain, work the reckoning, how many knots a day? Round the world and home again, that's the sailor's way.
We traded with the Yankees, Brazilians and Chinese. We've laughed with dusky beauties in shade of tall palm trees. Across the line and Gulf Stream round by Table Bay. Everywhere and home again, that's the sailor's way.
Nightly stands the North Star, higher on our bows. Straight we run for England, our thoughts are in it now. Jolly times with friends ashore when we've drawn our pay. All around and home again, that's the sailor's way.
Tom will to his parents, Jack will to his dear, Joe to wife and children, Bob to pipes and beer, Dickie to the dancing room to hear the fiddles play.
Round the world and home again, that's the sailor's way. A roving, since roving's been my ruin. I'll go never a-roving with you, fair maid. A roving, since roving's been my ruin. I'll go never